Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Comic Shop Talk on the Late Night Chat Network, your first stop for pop culture talk. I'm your host, Niko, and joining me today, as always, my co-host, Chris. How you doing?
Hey, not too bad. How are you?
I'm good. This is our weekly comic book review show, everyone, and this is where we talk about the books that we've read week to week. We give you our thoughts and reviews on them, show off some of the art, talk about some comic book news, which we actually have something to talk about here at the end of today's episode. Interesting piece of news that came out the other day. I figured it was worth mentioning. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure to check out some of our other videos that we do here, all kinds of different playlists here on the Late Night Chat Network, different types of content. You know, since it's pop culture related, you know, we got stuff, we got movie stuff, video game stuff, general, like, just, you know, topics of conversation. Sometimes you have, you know, the late night chat show, which basically was our live kind of get together show with a bunch of different types of hosts there and friends of ours, which has stopped now, but that's got 300 episodes in that playlist. So yeah, definitely go back and check out some of that great stuff. Today, we're going to be talking about the new comics that came out for the week of May 21st, 2025. And spoiler warning, if you're worried about getting spoiled on your books, because we are going to be talking about what happened in the books and showing off some of the art and stuff, you can always read your books and then come back. All right, Chris.
All right, let's talk comics.
Talk some comics. Cheers.
Cheers.
All right. First up on the docket here today, we got Spider-Man and Wolverine #1 by Mark Guggenheim writing it, and the great Kari Andrews drawing this one. Chris, what'd you think?
I hope Marvel's got Kari Andrews on a lockdown on a chain or something. Like, Jim Lee should be looking at this comic. This is what Batman Hush should be looking like. Like, every page here, I don't know if it's the color or everything is on point here. Well, except maybe the story. But
yeah,
you know, that takes
it's fine. I mean,
it takes a serviceable story and just like freaking amps it up to 9 with this art here. I just can't say enough about this Kari Andrews art. You know, I love his covers, and just the whole book is just crazy here. And you know, it starts out with, you know, big splash pages there of Wolverine and Spider-Man. You know, it's very Todd McFarlane-esque, I'd like to say, but
yes,
his own style there, you know.
Yes.
And yeah, the story itself, you know, you got Spider-Man floating around there. You know, I guess I got to bring Shay in. I think that's kind of funny. You know, Wolverine shows up on his motorcycle, and hey, Peter, let's go. And he's like, okay, let's go. I don't know what's going on, why you need me or anything, but I guess they go in the story. And like I say, this story is what kind of kills me there a little bit. I guess they have that knock list or something like Mission Impossible, with the list of all the double agents.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it brings into focus Peter Parker's parents, and it looks like there's some sort of video that Wolverine ends up killing them or something, which seems to go against any sort of history that's been out there. You know, I know in a few of those anthologies, you know, Wolverine said, "Oh yeah, I know your parents," and somehow that's the reason that Wolverine and Peter Parker sort of have that tight relationship, because Wolverine might be always looking out for him because of his relationship with his parents. So, and you know, and that's a bit of a tired story too, you know, with kind of that being played out, and with Bucky and Tony Stark and Anthony Stark. But besides that, though, I have nothing bad to say about this. You know, even with this story, I'm all in for this series. And it sounds like this is an ongoing series, and as long as they got Kari Andrews there drawing it, I'm down for it. And I hope they bring in more characters. I just want to see him draw everybody in here.
Absolutely. And I mean, he draws a lot of people in this issue. So I you know, we said it about his art on Spider-Man Reign. Like, I've seen Kari Andrews' art over the years evolve, and he's done different like a bunch of different styles. I particularly really dig this era of Kari Andrews' art, honestly, right now. Like you said, it's definitely Todd McFarlane inspired. It's definitely like 90s art inspired. Like, he's like big, bulky characters and like, you know, crazy stuff happening each page. The composition, the layouts of all the characters, like the way that he, you know, the energy of the, you know what I mean? Like almost like speed line, like manga type of like stuff happening. Like, you know,
big colors, everything's great.
Yeah, it's just great looking stuff. And in this one, there was some fun stuff that happened where, they kind of are in each other's heads in terms of I guess some of the traumas that they've experienced. You had Spidey in the Weapon X suit. You had him coming out of the grave, like the Craven's Last Hunt, Wolverine, and I get Mysterio obviously up in the mix there. And the way that he drew Green Goblin, like look at the size of his like leg, like how muscly and like, just that angle. I just love everything about the art on this book. Like you said, he's elevating a book with just like a wishy-washy, like so-so story that we've seen a million times to like just a fun, like, adventure with these two characters. Like, I think I'm in it as long as Carrie Andrews. He's definitely the star of this book. I honestly don't know why he's not writing this after he did Spider-Man Reign, but maybe he didn't want to do that. Mark Guggenheim, I think he also writes for TV. He comes in and out of comics as a writer over the years. He's been writing comics for a long time, though. So he's a serviceable writer, but I think that, like you said, the star is Carrie Andrews here, and it looks fantastic. Yeah, so that's it. That's really all I have to say. The story is nothing to write home about, but goddamn, is the art beautiful in this book. Yeah, I mean, I thought Spider-Man Reign was crazy. This issue is
yeah, but this is more like with a comic, that comic art style. That Spider-Man Reign, it looks like he was trying to do crazy things there, like everybody was, like this dystopian world, so he's trying to draw everybody weirdo, but this one here, everything is like no complaints.
Yeah, and it features two of my favorite characters in all of comics. So I mean, it's good stuff. What'd you give this?
Yeah, I give this a 4 all day.
Yeah, I guess I got to give it a 4. I was going to give it a 4.25, but because the story is nothing special, I'm going to have to take some points off. I agree with you. So it's close, though. I would give it more than a 4 if the story was better, honestly. But yeah, I'll give it a 4 out of 5. Great stuff, though. Next up, we got Superman Unlimited #1. Dan Slott's DC, not his debut. He did something for DC years ago, but like this is a long time coming. He only did, I think, like one miniseries for them like 20 years ago or something. So Dan Slott writing for DC Superman series, and then artist on here, Raphael Albuquerque, who we actually just saw on your favorite of the week last week, Huck Big Bad World. He was the artist on this issue. I think he's doing at least the first arc of this. What did you think?
When I saw this coming up here, I didn't pull it on my put it on my pull list, but I did end up reading this online. It's a good introduction to Superman. There's a lot of history involved, kind of, and the way it's told, it wasn't kind of like thrown right in your face. It's kind of brought back in all these little memory arcs or memory panels. Let's say that, and it kind of just takes a tour of all of Superman's sort of greatest hits there.
Mm-hmm.
And the story, it's a decent story.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of leading to something weird there at the end, like I guess there's that big meteor that's coming in, and he thinks it's like made out of some like super hard material. He goes, fights it, and it's just a thin shell over a kryptonite core. And now this kryptonite core, I guess, seems to be blasted and just kind of rained down on Earth. So it's kind of big things happening. But I still find it weird how they're trying to fit this into the present day stuff that's going on. Like, this is supposed to be all in part of the same continuity.
Did you feel that way? I felt this.
Well, it seemed like, because they're on the Justice Tower, and I don't know, he seemed to be out for whatever a few months there.
Yeah, he's like
in the whole world has changed, but
right.
Yeah, but it doesn't say this is in any sort of Elseworld, and
no, but they also didn't really acknowledge about like a lot of what's going on in currently with him, though. I didn't think that this touched on. I mean, that's fine if they want to act like this is happening somewhere during the current status quo, even though they're not going to address any of the other stuff going on. I'm okay with that. Like, I don't need this to be Elseworlds for that to be the case, right? I'd actually rather them just tell a good story here, honestly. I don't need them to explain what's going on in the main Superman title, but yeah, I mean, if that's what they're going for here, I'm not sure, but yeah, but go on. Yeah, what else? What
it seems to be a good story where I'm interested in this world that's changed over all these months, and kind of see what happens there. I don't know if it's enough to get me to buy it, though.
I actually was pretty happy I picked this one up. I thought this was really good. I thought Raphael Albuquerque, talking about good artists at the start of this show, he looked awesome in this book. I mean, he looked good on Huck the last week, but getting to see him draw all the different characters that he did in this with all the Justice League and everybody else that showed up in this, I thought he looked great in this issue. So like, I was really happy about that. I thought Slott, I mean, I was kind of groaning a little bit when I was reading this, to be fair, because again, they're like, okay, we got to go into the whole Superman origin and like, but this is Slott's first time writing the character. Maybe that's something he wanted to do and talk, and it gave the opportunity to Raphael Albuquerque to draw all that and stuff. So I wasn't mad at it, but I was kind of like, okay, I we know all this. How many times do we got to go over this kind of
stuff? That's what I felt. You know, if you're reading a Superman comic, you already know everything about it.
Right. But whatever. It wasn't the whole issue. And it seemed like he got it out of the way. Maybe he just kind of wanted to have his crack at it because this is him kind of coming to DC and writing Superman. So I you know, it's forgivable, but I also, that was the weakest part of the issue for me, just because it's like, you know, retreading like old shit that we already know and we've seen a million times. But like you said, that whole idea of the kryptonite big ball, the asteroid that he stopped, and then waking up from like a coma a few months later and it being like a world controlled by the like kryptonite, and like you see the other super people like Supergirl and beat up and they're like, this is our lives now, and like you know, he's like, what the hell is going on? And then he turns like gold or something. Like, I don't know if he's like the kryptonite.
Well, that's it. Supposedly he got crushed by that ball of kryptonite and somehow he survived. So
so he must be like a new thing now or immune to it.
Something happened there that I guess it's alluded to, but haven't mentioned yet.
So, and that's the other thing. By the end of this issue, he did his work, because like he did his job. Dan Slott, I felt in this one, because I'm like, wow, I need to know what happens next now. Like I was interested to see what the hell's going on with him, right? So I'm in it for at least the first arc. Like I you know, I'm not reading any other. I mean, we're reading it digitally. I'm reading also the ongoing Superman series, but for whatever reason, I had dropped that, and I'm willing to give him this looked great. I'm willing to give him a shot, like on this. I'm interested to see if Slott, because Slott kind of burned out on his, I got burned out on his stuff over at Marvel, honestly, like after his time on Spider-Man. He did some all right stuff with Fantastic Four, but I felt like he had been there for way too long. So, I mean, this might lead to some more interesting things from him again. I don't know. We'll see what happens. And I know he's kind of controversial in the sense not everyone's a big Dan Slott fan. You know, the whole Spider-Man Dr. Octopus thing pissed off a lot of people when he was writing that book. So, you know, which not me, I enjoyed it for the most part. But anyways, I guess we'll see where we go from here. But I thought this was a good first issue. The only thing that bugged me was that they rehashed a bunch of stuff, but I get it. He wants to kind of do that, so whatever. What'd you give this?
I get it. Solid 3.75.
I'm gonna go another 4 out of 5 on this one. I thought it was a great first issue. We'll see. All right, next up we got The Thing #1. All right, and this is from Tony Fleece and Jason Mason, that cover artist, right? Who was doing a lot of yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't have some sort of Thing cover. I don't know what sort of sound effect you could have for him, but otherwise for the Thing, you know, I think it's a solid Thing comic. And this Tony Fleece, did he do Local Man, or was that
he co-wrote it? It was two of them. It was him and Tim Seeley.
Yeah, I kind of felt some of that narrative here, but it just doesn't seem to work as well with, you know, the Thing, because he's a popular character. You know, it works well with Local Man because he's some down on his luck bum here. But otherwise, you know, the story here, the Thing, I don't know, he's fighting out in space there, and he just wants to come back and chill out for a bit. And one of his buddies from, I guess, his younger years shows up at his door, and some people are missing. And he's, you know, I guess back on the streets to figure out what's going on. And there's some, you know, decent action. And it takes you to a good place at the end with Kingpin showing up. So I can't complain about that. I don't know how the Kingpin fits in. Like the last we saw Kingpin, wasn't he, like, you know, taking a boat with Typhoid Mary somewhere and just living out his glory days? But I can't say anything bad about this comic. I thought the story was decent. The art was great for it, for sure.
Yeah, it was okay. I kind of thought it dragged in a couple of spots. But other than that, it was fine. I mean, I like the Thing. I'll give it another issue. I like Tony Fleece on Local Man, so I like that. Although I feel like him and Tim Seeley, remember they did some Wolverine mini series that wasn't good. Like, I don't know, their Marvel stuff
Yeah, it's not the greatest.
Hasn't been great, the stuff that they've done after Local Man, but they've been getting the gigs still. So I'm willing to give this another issue and give them a shot, because I can see what you mean about some of the Local Man kind of stuff, like, writing or approach to the character happening in this as well. Yeah, it wasn't bad. I did like where it ended, so I'm gonna give it another issue. But for me, like in terms of ratings, I would probably just go for a 3.5 on this one. It wasn't
I
bad.
agree with you 100%. There's nothing special in this book. If you're a big fan of the Thing, I guess you're okay with it. But
yeah,
maybe they got something in store for us still.
Yeah. Next up, we got Vatican City #2, Chris.
Yeah, just read this one online. Let's see, where did we leave off in Vatican City? I think they're trying to dig up the vampire queen. And all the people that are held up in the Vatican are sort of, I think they were locked away from the humans that the vampires were sort of controlling to dig up their queen. So that's where we are now. They got the humans under the vampire control. They're trying to dig up the queen, and then they're trapped in the Vatican with whatever's left over. And then the Monsignor is telling, there's a bit of a story going on about how the vampires ruled the world for 20 years, and they got pushed back, and that's why the vampire queen is sort of buried in the Vatican. And it seems like the Monsignor takes all the people to these unseen rooms of the Vatican and sort of the mysteries of the world. And they also have an armory there, and so they decide to send poison gas down to all the humans that are digging out the vampire queen. And they kind of force them out of the basement, and they end up shooting them all. And now they have a bit of a bargaining chip, because they have the vampire queen there. That's still sort of in a state. She's not alive. And the vampires send in a bunch of mercenaries, and that's when our hero, I forget what his name is, he's basically like holding a bomb and says, hey, you kill us, we'll kill your queen, and that's the end of that. We're happy to do it. So now they're a bit of a stalemate, and it's like a hostage negotiation right now, where the humans are saying, okay, we want a bus, and we want a plane. So I guess they got something in store, but they still want to transport this Vatican, or transport the vampire queen with them, sort of as their ace in the hole. The art, it's a great style for this comic, and it's a decent story. I give it a 3.75.
Yeah, I was late to the party talking about it on the show last time, and here I am yet again without having read it before the show. But I did read the first issue though, and I did enjoy it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to checking this one out.
Yeah, because they also had like scenes from what else was going on in the world. It seems like Russia and China aren't involved yet. Like they've been untouched from the vampire plague. Maybe that's going to come into play in the story somehow. And then see where it goes.
Yeah. All right. Then you got Catwoman 76.
Yeah, I just sort of checked in on this one. I kind of dropped off this a little while ago, I guess, when the Diamond stuff stopped getting my Catwoman covers coming my way, and looks like I've beat the bug. That addiction is off, but they do have some covers. But anyways, I just checked in. The same stories rolling around. It's a lot of the stuff when Catwoman was young, with the team she was running with, versus where she is now. And it seems one of her teammates from the past was one of the people that screwed her over, and perhaps could be the one that sort of has the hit that's out on her. I thought the art was pretty weak for this, and without the covers, I wouldn't be buying. Well, I'm not buying it, and this didn't really spur me on to bring it back. I'd give it a 3.25.
Okay. Yeah. And then you got the Incredible Hulk 25, which has a great cover to it. Let me just throw this up here. Did you get I know you didn't get your comics this week, but did you end up getting like
No, I didn't buy this one. I think I bought the last one for some variant cover. That's why I ended up reading this. And it had the Hulk and Thor about to show down.
Yeah, great cover.
Yeah, and that's what that's what got me to read this one here. And whenever the Hulk and Thor, I think the last time we met, they're on that sort of battle world, and it was more of a like a video game type of fight. Here they seem to be fighting, more seriously, let's say. Hulk is traveling with this little Charlie girl, and she's got some like lichen pelt that turns her into like the original werewolf or like a lichen god. And Thor has a problem with that demon specifically, and that's why Thor and Hulk are sort of coming to blows here. I think the last one they were at Doctor Strange's building, and kind of got fooled by some of those demons. But now it's the real deal. Thor showed up, and they kind of just battle back and forth. Thor doesn't believe that Charlie girl is on the level. He believes that she's possessed, and it kind of goes back into some story where someone else that had that pelt, took the form of the little girl too, and is causing all sorts of havoc in Asgard. So he doesn't feel like he's falling for this trick. And they battle it out. The art was freaking spectacular for this.
Yeah.
And it's about time, it was Nick Klein that's doing this book, right?
Of course, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's about time they got him out of those freaking woods, where he's just fighting freaking trees and whatever he was doing before, now you got him back in the real world. The throwdown between Hulk and Thor is great. I think somewhere near the end, I think that Charlie girl pretty much convinces Thor that, she's not under the influence of this demon. I think she saves Thor because, I don't know, Thor sends Hulk Hulk grabs Thor's hammer, and the freaking hammer goes out to space and it starts coming down. It looks like Hulk is pretty much coming down like a meteor on top of Thor, and then that little Charlie girl kind of pushes him out of the way. So I think they come to some sort of understanding. But what's up next? I think it could be Black Widow and the Winter Soldier might be entering the picture. Which, hey, I'm not at least the Winter Soldier for sure. And I wouldn't mind reading that either. They got some good characters coming in here now, so this book is definitely on the rise.
Yeah, I might have to revisit this or pick up a collection of this comic, like if they put out like a big hardcover of it at some point, because I even had a friend the other day that was like, saw one of the interiors of one of the issues and was like, wow, this is amazing looking. Who's drawing this? And I'm just like, I know. I'm like, I tried reading it and I didn't dig everything that was going on, but like, it's too good of a book with this guy drawing it. Honestly, Nick Klein.
Yeah, I think now that they're out of the woods,
yeah,
and they're out of that elder gods or whatever those crazy Earth gods that were trying to contain the Hulk. I think they could be back in business here.
This might be the time to jump back in. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, because it was like a Southern horror or something before. Now it's like, it seems like it's going to be more in the vein of like, more superhero type of stuff. It seems like now, right?
Yeah.
And mixing it up with some folks. What'd you give this?
I'll give it I might push this up to a 4 as well. Like, that art was great and the story was decent. So I can't give it any less.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Next up, we got Hulk and Doctor Strange #1. Hulk and his cousin Dolph. No. This is like one of those one shots that they've been doing for I don't know, no fucking reason. I don't know why they're doing these, but these J. Michael Straczynski. I guess they had to offer him another job after they kicked him off of Captain America. For shit. I don't know. This book's just ending. Whatever he said, let her call him that.
What do you want me to do? Here, do some of these freaking one shots. See if you can do anything good with this.
So yeah, he continues to do these Marvel team up one shot type things, and I feel like this is the third or fourth one that I've talked about on the show here. And this one, like, you're all oversized issues. So in this one, you get like, I guess the main story is Hulk and Doctor Strange, and then this one you get a backup. Aunt-May and Agatha Harkness, because that's the team up we've all been asking for. So anyways, so J. Michael Straczynski writes both of them. This first one, I mean, listen, it's Hulk and Doctor Strange who've had a lot of crossovers, team ups throughout the years. They were on the Defenders together, so I'm like, okay, yeah, this is gonna be an easy layup, right? I love Doctor Strange. It was okay. It wasn't even that good, honestly. Like, I don't know. These one shots, they've been entertaining at times, but they really haven't been anything substantial. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I think J. Michael Straczynski's apparent good days of being a writer are behind him, quite frankly. Like, he started off that Captain America series pretty well, and then it just went off the rails. And these one-shots aren't really offering a lot either in terms of, like, you know, it being great comics, I would say. But anyways, Hulk basically comes to him because he has some issue with, you know, or Banner comes to him, sorry, I should say. And then he's like, yeah, I need some help with kind of me dealing with my inner self with the Hulk, you know, having some kind of finding some peace between the two of us. And Doctor Strange pushes him out into his astral form, and he kind of goes on like some spiritual journey of sorts, let's say, to kind of get right with his inner self and with and, you know, kind of even envisioning what occurred to make him the Hulk originally, and if he would have done things differently or made a different choice in that moment with the bomb. And so, you know, it's just whatever. It's just an examination, I would say, of the Hulk with Doctor Strange's assistance, essentially. So I gave this like a 3.25. It wasn't anything special. It was okay. And then that Aunt May and Agatha Harkness story was just ridiculous at the end. Like, Aunt May just happens to be at like some like book club or something with these women. I don't know what the hell she's doing there. And Agatha Harkness, because she's old, happens to be there. I don't know. Then there's some magic stuff that happens. I don't know. That one, I didn't even really care for this backup story all too much. But the Hulk
it should have been just be them at a recipe club, you know, changing some recipes. It'd probably be more interesting.
I don't know. This just felt lazy. It was just like, if you're going to do a story with Aunt May with somebody, like, make it someone that you wouldn't expect her to be with. Not like, oh, here's another old lady character. Right? I'm just like, why?
Yeah.
You know, I get it. She's like a witch and whatever, but like, I don't know. It just seemed dumb. I don't know. I don't know why that is a thing, that story. Like, just give us more pages of the Hulk and Doctor Strange. I don't know. I understand why I had to do that. But anyways.
Aunt May and Emma Frost.
Yeah. Hey, why not? I would have taken that over freaking this one. Trust me. Thunderbolts, yeah, at least gives me something good to look at while I'm reading that story. Thunderbolts Doomstrike #5. This is the last issue of this One World Under Doom tie-in. Yeah, I liked this overall. I thought this was a good tie-in series. I like the Winter Soldier a lot. You know, it looks like at the end of this, they kind of gave a preview of the next Thunderbolts series, which is now called New Avengers, which, spoilers if you haven't heard, that's basically what the Thunderbolts movie is. Essentially, it's this new Avengers team that they basically turn into anyways by the end of it, or they are announced as. So and that new book has like a bunch of interesting different characters too. We get the guy from Hell Hunters, the Ghost Rider, who showed up with Captain America in this to assist Bucky by the end of the last issue, which this was pretty cool. And then you got Natasha, who showed up. So this was a lot of cool, enjoyable characters kind of finally, you know, ending out the book here with Bucky. And as they make their last final stand against Doom in this storyline, as well as the other Thunderbolts team that the more of the original Thunderbolts team that Doom basically used to aid him to go up against this new team, or I guess people Bucky is teaming up with in this instance. So he had his other older friends show up, Cap and Natasha and, you know, the Hell Hunter Ghost Rider. I don't know why, but that was cool just to see him show up because we just finished Hell Hunter. So,
they should have had to make a comment to Bucky at least. You know, oh, I'm glad you turned out the way you did because I thought you're going sideways there pretty early.
He did actually make some sort of a comment. I don't know if it was that exactly, but it was something like along those, like, oh, I'm glad you're finally able to. The Hell Hunters are back together again. Something like that. Like, so, like, it was cool because we just finished that mini series. So I was like,
yeah,
okay,
Bucky was crazy in there.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. He made some sort of comment like that. He did. So yeah.
And like, are you still collecting ears?
That's right. So yeah, this was fun. I enjoyed this. I think as a tie-in, it was successful. I think as a Thunderbolts little kind of small mini series, it was successful, and I look forward to more. I mean, Thunderbolts is always honestly a pretty easy sell for me. I like the concept of the Thunderbolts, and I like the characters that usually show up in these books. So I'll give this a 3.75. I'll probably give the whole mini series 3.75. Honestly, verging on 4 though. I thought this was probably the strongest of the tie-ins so far out of all the One World Under Doom stuff that we've been reading. It between this and Doctor Strange of Asgard, but Doctor Strange of Asgard really doesn't have much to do with One World Under Doom. This does. So I think that this is therefore, this is the more successful, I think, tie-in to One World Under Doom that I've enjoyed out of all of them so far. So good stuff. Absolute Flash number 4. Oh yeah, I also forgot to show off this. This is Moon Knight Fist of Khonshu number 8. I didn't read it, but I did pick up this cover this week. I wanted to show off this, the Alex Ross obviously variant, and I do like Moon Knight, and I liked that one, so I picked that up. Can't wait till next week. I think that there Nick Fury one's coming out next week that Alex Ross did, and I can't wait to get that one. I'll put it up beside my Punisher one that I have of him too. Oh no! Hold on a second. Comics are falling. Comics down. Comics down. Okay.
It's a 9.2 now.
Yeah. All right. So next up, Absolute Flash number 4. I'm still really enjoying this. This is a lot of fun. Jeff Lemire. Basically 3 issues in, and finally, I think they're moving on from this whole initial him kind of getting chased by the government people. That are after him after he kind of breaks out and then accidentally kills Barry, it looks like. And, he doesn't know what the hell's going on with his powers and everything. But by the end of this issue, he's suited up and he's fled the scene from whatever this whole first 3 issues has been of him kind of on the run and not knowing what the hell's going on. So I'm glad for that. I'm glad we didn't get like 6 issues of that. 3 issues, okay, that's fine. I mean, it's kind of had interesting things happen each issue to keep me kind of engaged. At the end of the last issue, they pulled out a Gorilla Grodd version in the Absolute version, which is basically like a small, mutated looking monkey instead of like a big gorilla. And they make him seek out Wally here to kind of, I guess, bring him in or calm him down or whatever, because he has like telepathic abilities. So he goes and talks to him. As he talks to him, he touches him and he's able to read all his mind and see all this stuff that he's been through and how he got to this point and how he's been treated and everything that basically happened to him. And then he shared his thoughts with him as well. And you see that Gorilla Grodd, because he's like a monkey that they've tested on, all the shit that they've done to him basically to reach this point, and how they took out his parents in the wild and stuff like that, and how he's been tested on. So they kind of become friends, quick friends, because he's like, you're just like me. Some of the things that you've been through, you lost your parents. I lost my parents. You've been kind of mistreated, and they want to basically test you and do shit like they did to me. So these two go on the run together. Grodd basically turns on the people that brought him in and assists Wally in getting away. And by the end of this, Wally's got he goes back, he gets the suit off of Barry, I guess his skeleton or whatever, the one that he was wearing, that he basically got fried in, takes the suit, throws it on, and zooms away. And he has got Grodd on his shoulder. So I was like, oh, you know what? That was fun. I had a good time with this issue. And I kind of like the angle that they went with Gorilla Grodd here, and it's a fun little book. I'm having a good time with this one. It's kind of keeping me guessing. It is very different, I would say, than some of the other Flash stuff that I've seen. And yeah, it's good stuff. I'm definitely sticking with this one for the time being. I think it was a nice twist with the Gorilla Grodd. Yeah, there he is, riding on his shoulder there, and he's got. So I'm interested to see where he goes from here. Honestly, I give this. I'm gonna give it a 4. I liked it. I thought it was a strong issue. I liked it as an end issue of this like half an arc 3 issue thing that they've done so far in this book. And then Batman and Robin Year 1, number 7. Not too much to add to this. I think this is my last issue I've ordered, and I'm going to just pick up the collection. I love Chris Samnee on art. Mark Waid, always does a pretty good job. But like I said, this isn't really head and shoulders above any other Batman story that I've read. It's a pretty basic story between gangsters and the relationship of, Dick when he's younger with Batman. And essentially, yeah, I mean, this is the Year 1. I mean, it says it in the title. That's what you should expect from this book. But yeah, Two-Face is in the mix, Clayface is in the mix, some other gangsters. There's some fun Dick moments in here in this book. Basically, like 5 years old here. I said the word Dick and started laughing. That's right. Yeah, so there's some good moments with him. Some more school moments with him here. So yeah, and it looks fantastic. I mean, Chris Samnee's a great artist. That's why I'm not against buying the collection of this. But in terms of buying the issues, I don't need to, have this whole mini series or maxi series in my collection necessarily. I'll just buy the trade. So I'll probably keep talking about it on the show, but not too much to add issue to be honest, in terms of reporting in on this one. So I'll give this I'll give it a 3.75. Again, it's good. It's not bad, and the art's always good, so it deserves that rating. All right, Chris, Detective Comics 1097.
Yeah, this one's been on a run for a while with some decent issues. And I don't know, I think that run might be ending here.
Whoa.
I didn't like this one so much here. I think they're still trying to deal with some of the fallout of that whole crew that Asima was part of, and like I guess the bigger players. They have this guy who's that Batman and the detective. What's his
Harvey
name?
Bullock.
What's his name?
Harvey Bullock. It's Bullock. Harvey Bullock.
Yeah. I have never liked that detective. They always make him look like he's a shady guy. But it's a lot of following him around there. He's trying to shake down some of his sources. And, I guess him and Batman are working together here. And that was okay, but I don't know. It sounds like you might have liked this a lot more than I did.
I did, yeah. I really like Bullock. Doesn't really get a lot of shine. I mean, he's always basically sidekick to Gordon. I liked this because this was a story mostly about Harvey. You get to see him on the police force in the past. They're kind of going into that Elixir. That's her name, right? I think is Elixir.
Elixir's I guess the big bad, maybe.
It's the shady group that was involved in all that kid stuff that happened in the first arc of Tom Taylor's thing, which I guess they fled the scene at the end of the first arc, their last issue. But now, like, I guess there's still some other people that work for them that are kind of dealing within the city. And there's these guys that pose as cops that I don't know what the hell they're up to, but they do like sick kind of like experimentation type stuff while torturing people, it seems like. And it's not exactly clear what the hell this is all about, but basically Bullock he's assisting Batman in the sense that he has connections because of his time as a cop. And instead now he's off the force and he's working as a private eye, which Batman uses. He basically hires him to kind of go out and, tap some shoulders and talk to some people. And he kind of tells him the story about how he dealt with these people years ago on the force. So I really enjoyed this just because I don't feel like we get a lot of stories with him as the main character. And so I guess your mileage may vary. Like you said, you don't really care too much about him. I thought
I think he's one step away from being corrupted all the time.
But that's the character though, right? Like he was corrupt, and then Gordon, like he was a dirty cop to a degree, and then because Gordon was such a good cop, like he basically he respected him enough to try to keep it more on the straight and narrow when he was working with him. But he has always been somewhat of a dirty cop, like for the most part, Bullock, at least the way he's depicted in the comics, right? So that's kind of why I do like the character, honestly, so to a degree. But yeah, he goes to see one of his old cop friends who was also on the force, who was also dirty, who basically told him to like look away and take some money when they ran into these people. And I guess he had some dirt on these guys. So by the end of the issue, Bullock's now under fire from these guys. Some people show up to his office there, and he has to kind of basically try to make a break for it there and shoot at them. So Batman now is, I guess, on the case and see what happens from here. Oh, yeah, and then he finds the Penguin.
Yeah, I think he's tracking down Bullock the whole time. And
right.
I don't know if Penguin is, if he's just another victim in this or if he's part of it. And, that was the whole bait and switch. So I guess it does leave you something looking forward to the next issue.
It does. And then Penguin's also one of those type of characters that often I feel like is in the mix where he's kind of an anti-hero at times. Like he is a straight up villain, but he'll sometimes assist Batman when it's his advantage and stuff like that. What I mean? So,
he just wants to keep his piece of the Gotham pie, and he'll keep
right. He's
he'll kind of keep people safe. I'll do my gang shit, but just don't mess with me.
That's right. So what'd you give this?
Well, talking about it, probably give it a bit more. I'll give it a 3.75.
I'll give it a 4. Yeah. So I think that's accurate. Yeah. I thought this was good. I'm interested to see where he goes from here. I still think it's like, if not the strongest, one of the strongest Batman books out right now. I mean, it's better than Hush too. That's for sure. So, I mean, whatever's been going on there. Batman, Superman, World's Finest, number 39. My copy didn't show up. This is when they actually had to reorder for me, but this is part 4, I guess, in 6 of We Are Yesterday, the crossover between this and Justice League Unlimited with Mark Waid and other artists. What do you think?
I think it's a good comic book story here. What's happening? I missed the the annual, so I think I missed the third chapter, and it looks like something went on. What happened there? But it seems we have what Batman, Robin, and Superman from the past and the future, sort of switching places back and forth, and
That's
it's
what
kind of
happened.
fun to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun to see sort of the situations that they're involved in. Like,
Yeah.
I guess we have Batman going back to the Batcave. They're trying to figure out how to get back to their timeline. And they run into Alfred. I thought that was interesting. And then I have the Robin there that's in the future, and he's like, he's kind of unaware of that there are more Robins than him, and he's kind of like,
Yeah.
what happened? And he sees himself, and he kind of makes a few digs at his older self, so that's fun. And the story that's going on, it looks like I guess they go to the Fortress of Solitude and get some sort of time bubble, and they're trying to get back to their own time. But at the same time, the Legion of Doom, I think Sinestro, he fires a gun at Batman, Superman, and Robin, and I don't know. Who knows what's going to happen from here? Like they might be shifted through time again, but it's a good story. I like it.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. This has always been like, for the most part, like a very comic booky comic, and that's this story is definitely that. And I really enjoyed this issue. I thought this is probably the best issue of the crossover, just because it's such a layup. It's pretty easy in terms of like Wade to set this type of thing up with putting different versions of characters in different times and them just reacting to it. It's quite
Yeah,
easy, but it always works. Like for me, like I love that kind of stuff. So like, the Alfred moment crushed me though. I was like, oh man, that's so sad. like Batman like
yeah,
tried to like, say something, and like Clark had to like grab his hand. He's like, no, don't say
yeah.
anything.
What's his name? Nightwing's like, I don't care, Alfred. Good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, I know, I know. And Batman's like trying to keep it together. He's like, oh,
Yeah,
he's like Alfred. And he's like, he's just like weirded out. Like the look on his face and that.
yeah. That's one. The funny thing too is Alfred's reaction. Like, what? All right, Sarah. I'm just gonna go upstairs, do my thing. You guys have fun down here.
Yeah, yeah. So that was my favorite moment of the whole issue, was that part actually. Like it was, the other part was cool too, seeing the past selves. And another, actually, one thing I wanted to talk to you about is, we've always talked about this book in the sense like it never really told you if it was in the past. It rode that line of like whether or not it was in the past, like flashback type stories, or if it was in the current day. Because I could have sworn it linked itself to current day stuff a couple of times, this title,
Yeah,
but they always rode the line where they kind of didn't ever tell you straight up like if that was the case or not. In this though, it basically says these are them from the past and this is them in the future. Like
yeah,
so like I guess Batman World's Finest, Batman Superman World's Finest is a throwback type of like series like of them, which that they definitively, I kind of finally addressed it in this, I felt like, with this issue in a way, right? Like
yeah.
so I thought that was kind of interesting too. But then Superman, they basically grab this Legion of Superhero like time capsule thing or whatever that brings them back. And yeah, it's good. It's good fun. Death of Superman. He sees that and he thinks he's tripping out from Scarecrow and that it wasn't real. I thought that was
Yeah,
interesting.
that's it's just kind of it touched on some good scenes that they
Yeah,
don't know how to react to.
exactly. Yeah. So good stuff. Good stuff. What'd you give this?
I was going to give it a 3.75, but after talking about it, I might pump this up to a 4.
Yeah, same. 4 out of 5. Yeah, I guess I liked quite a few of the books this week. That was fun. It was good stuff. Wonder Woman 21.
Yeah, nice one there. I guess we're continuing the story of some mystery of, I guess, who killed Ares or something like that.
Yeah.
After reading this, I enjoyed it. Like it was a good sort of mystery type of book. I think it was all pretty much all of these 9-panel pages with a lot of dialogue and a lot of stuff going on. It seemed to explore the relationship between Wonder Woman and Batman. He seems to be out of sorts there because I think he just got beat up, and sort of you kind of hear the respect that the gods have for Batman, or the people on Themyscira hold for Batman. Because a few times I think they're at the end where
Yeah.
Wonder Woman seems to be kind of in a bad spot, and she pretends that Batman's there, and that's enough to distract the attention of whoever was trying to do her in.
Yeah.
And they kind of go, and then who is it, Zeus, or who's trying to?
Zeus.
Yeah, Zeus. He's the one that says, I'll give you 24 hours, and they're
Yeah.
so close to finding it, and she wants a bit more time. And I think he kind of says, no, we're, Batman's mine if it doesn't work out. And it's sort of the way the story works out sort of makes sense. So I think it's well written, and it held my interest all the way through.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this little two-parter that they did after that long arc that we got for this book, and it kind of went right away from that, and didn't even really touch on it, and it kind of jumped into this two-parter with Batman, with her doing and Wonder Woman doing the detective work on with in her home, right, with all the gods and stuff like that. So I really like this overall. I do think the first issue was better than the second. I like the setup of this mystery as opposed to the resolution, but more. But overall, it was excellent. This little two-parter, I did really enjoy it. I think the last issue, I think it was our favorite of the week, or at least it was mine. It was, if not, it was up there, because I remember us really, really enjoying that first issue, and I like this one too. But I think the first one was a bit stronger for me in terms of the compared to the wrap up. But good stuff. I mean, great guest artist on this story, and I'm interested to see where he goes now.
Was this guy Gilliam March or something?
Yeah, Gilliam March.
Yeah, he does great covers, and I thought he brought it for this one too.
I hope that Tom King does some more of these kind of smaller stories moving forward for a bit after we've kind of just got through that.
That first arc was way too long.
Yeah, exactly.
And I like how they did bring that dagger, that dagger that can kill the gods, because it seems like Tom King has that, that comes in play in the future big time somehow. It's kind of good how it's still part of the story.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. And I'll give this one a 4 too.
Yeah. Even though I said the first one was better, I'd also give this a 4. It was really good. Fantastic Four 32.
This was Valeria. I think she's kind of floating through the stories here. This is where I guess they talk about when she was about to be vaporized, and she ends up on, I guess, some sort of alternate Earth. And it's a pretty wacky Earth that she lands on. She doesn't know where she is, and I guess she kind of relies on some teachings from Reed or her father to figure out where she is. And when she does figure things out, it's freaking wacky. Like, she tries to track down her parents, and you see Reed and Sue there, and you think, okay, everything's gonna be fine. But everybody's kind of having this fake smile, and then when you find out what it's all about, is that I guess Franklin Richards, he shows up to this world, I guess, a whole lot earlier. I guess with this time travel business, who knows what's going on, and being a toddler, I don't know what you want to say, being not so advanced in his thinking, he thinks he can fix this world, and he's almost like some sort of Galactus, and just anytime there's a problem, he thinks he can fix it, through simple means. And it was kind of it was a fun story. It's a little crazy, a little wacky, and a little one and done. And I thought it was okay.
I really enjoyed this story with it went from them, basically the Thing losing his powers to all of them losing their powers to her basically having to fix everything. And it really reinforces the idea that Valeria is actually smarter than her father in a lot of ways. Like, she kind of gets put into these situations sometimes. And this was like a great way to kind of, show that, to kind of for her to flex her a little bit, just to show you that she is also a great thinker. And she talks about that in this moment. And you even got an alternate Jean Grey and Namor, who's her husband.
That was crazy too.
Yeah, and he uses some sort of aquatic telepathy or something.
The fool Franklin into thinking he's a fish.
Which that was just a fun idea. I was like, oh, that's awesome. I've said it, I think the last time we talked about this series, but I really like that Ryan North is kind of doing different things during this event in the FF. Like, you would think that this would be seeped 100% into, like, any Fantastic Four stuff he's done has really just been in the One World Under Doom. In this other book, it's really them just having to deal with the fact that the world is now the way it is, and they're kind of just off doing their own thing on these still science adventure type stuff. So I really like it. It's good stuff. Yeah. What'd you give this?
I might have to give this a 4 as well, I think.
Same. When you're literally thinking that, I'm like, oh man, this is gonna be another 4 here. It's gonna be a tough week. There's a lot of decent books this week, honestly. Yeah, and then this part where her brother just freaking, I don't know, like disintegrates or something at the end there. That was pretty crazy.
Yeah, I guess they're trying to get back to their timelines, like that Back to the Future, where
Yeah,
if you don't exist, then you kind of just fade away.
right. That's right. Then you got the Ultimates number 12.
Oof, what happened in this one here? I think this one was pretty decent too, from what I understand. Oh yeah, I read this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this sort of explains that whole throwdown when they met up with Hulk and all his friends there.
Yeah.
So this is a bit of
Yeah.
a game changer here.
You want to talk about weird time travel type stuff and everything else? This is this issue. Like, I was like, what?
Yeah. So it seems that when they had that throwdown and Iron Lad ended up dying, it seems that everybody ended up dying here. And then Reed, or whatever, Doctor Doom, or whatever you want to call him there, he used that Immortus engine to go back to a time, I guess, that they were still all alive, and then pulled them all out. And I guess it was too late for him to save, I guess, Iron Lad or Tony Stark. But then Tony Stark is thinking, then
Right.
that maybe he didn't do that, or he brought back Tony Stark at a time when he was not alive, because Tony Stark would not agree with what he's doing, or kind of read too much into what's happening.
Yeah, it's the only instance where he was the only, it's the only instance where everyone else didn't get killed, but unfortunately he was the person that ends up getting taken out. But he couldn't find any other version of that occurrence where everybody got out unscathed. Like, that was basically what he said. Yeah, it was like basically the way things happened was the best that he could do for them in that moment, right? But they're not seeing eye to eye on anything right now, these two, right? So
yeah, and I guess they come to some sort of meeting there, and I guess everybody's sort of talking with Doom, saying, do you agree with what I did or what I didn't do? And it turns out that all the people say, well, hey, we're still alive here, and
right.
if that's what you had to do, then I agree with this, and I guess they have a new plan on how to try and deal with this, and I guess that's what they're at the end of they're hinting at a Ultimates 3.0, which I guess was seen in the next upcoming cover. But as for the way the story went, this is finally a story that's pushing this story all along, where the last few issues have been kind of ho hum.
Yeah.
This is definitely something that's moving the story forward.
This issue really reminded me of like why we kind of really enjoyed this series in the first place, where these kind of like big ideas and stuff like that, and then like an interesting moments like this that happened in this issue. I agree with you. After the last couple of lackluster issues, this issue was really needed. I know you were even talking about this possibly being on the chopping block as a result of it, but I thought this was a good one. And yeah, it was. I just really enjoyed seeing their faces and how they reacted to the fact where they're like, well, so technically we're dead, like we died, like they're just like really tripped out by that, which you would be.
Yeah, and just showing them all get freaking slaughtered out there too.
Oh, and then you find out Janet Van Dyne is a spy for Nick Fury, right? That was the other thing, which is, I don't know what the hell's going on there now, because as we know, Nick Fury is just a robot Nick Fury. He's not a real Nick Fury, but he is like being controlled by the enemies that they're up against right now, right? So the Maker's people, so that evil Hulk and all those other people, so like that's not good. That doesn't bode well for anybody.
Another wrinkle in here.
Yeah, so very interesting. What'd you give this?
Yeah, fuck, another 4. What can I say?
Agreed. Yeah, 4 out of 5. All right, next up we got Weapon X-Men number 4, Chris.
Yeah, I don't think this one's getting a 4 though.
No. I think I'm done. I think this is the last issue I'm reading this, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I can see why they freaking canceled this one before it got, it had time to bloom or something, because this still ain't blooming.
No.
Yeah, I don't know what the story is about here. You got there's the one, I don't even know who this one is. This one organization, they got a mech sort of under wraps there, and some guy takes over the mech, is trying to save his brother, and whatever. It's got some psychic shielding, it's got all this power there that, if this power is out there, this would pretty much render the X-Men ineffective in any sort of way. So, I don't know, whatever. Yeah, it was baloney. And the stuff with Wade or Deadpool being just stuck in the taxi trying to get to where he's going by the time he gets everything's done. Yeah, enough.
Yeah, this is my last issue with this. The most annoying part about this issue was them insisting that they are a team throughout the whole thing. Like they had to keep telling people, "We're a team. Don't forget that we're a team now." Oh yeah, by the way, this is a team that we're on now. Like I was just like, okay, no one believes this.
Yeah.
This is a team. This is how ridiculous this fucking book is. You're running around now saying that you're going to be a team, and before you know it, this book's going to be canceled. We're never going to see these people refer to themselves as this team again. Like it's just ridiculous. I'm like, what is this stupid book? I just know there. Honestly, this just like reeks of like you have no good ideas left almost. Like this is
Yeah, I think they just came up with a cool name, Weapon
why is
X,
this a
and
book?
tried to build something around it.
Like why is this a book? Like,
Yeah.
I just don't understand why it's a book. Like
Like Joe Casey went to Marvel, goes, I got a great title for a book, Weapon X-Men. They used it for whatever the other one. He goes, oh, that sucked. Don't worry, I got a story to go with this title, and he doesn't.
terrible. What'd you give this?
Yeah, 3.
Yeah, agreed. All right, then finally we got Amazing Spider-Man #4.
Nice. I enjoyed reading this, but I think the more I talk about it, the less I'm going to like it, though. So,
okay, go.
but I did enjoy like that. I like the story. I like what's going on here. I'm still a little bit tired of this Spider-Man and his fear hallucinations. And maybe the more I talk about it, the less I'm going to like it. Yeah, that's what I said was going to happen. Yeah. And you know what? They got the Hobgoblin there trying to spike all these monster energy drinks or energy drinks to get people going off. But this art it's still great. Still, top tier. I can't complain about that. But I am enjoying the story more and more as I read it. But the more I think about it, the less I like it, though.
No, I get what you're saying. I mean, I think if you start picking it apart, then yeah, you're gonna find some fault in some stuff. But I'll repeat what I said last issue. We talked about this. I don't even think you were at the point you are now. At that point, it's growing on me. I'm liking it. I think the art is obviously a big reason why I'm liking it so much. But even this past stuff in this issue, I actually like the stuff that was happening with him, like him and like the fact that he went out and he got drunk with his friends. Like that is a very teenage thing to do, and you don't really see that stuff really with him in his life ever talked about. And yes, we were talking about this earlier. Sometimes this past stuff, do we really need that for the character? I get it, but I thought it was a really nice moment between him and May, like the way that it's just a moment in his life where he's acting out and actually being a teenager. And and there were some nice moments there, I felt like, with him, like, and him not seeing eye to eye with his grandparents because they weren't his actual parents and everything else. Like, I thought that stuff was cool. And I do even more so like the current day story, like, and where that's going, and the fact that Hobgoblin's part of it, and how that's all unfolding. But I actually really liked this moment. I mean, like, this was felt like an actual real moment, and I don't think that's easy to do with all of the history behind Spider-Man. You know what I mean? Like, and all the stuff that we've seen. So was it necessary? Not really, but it wasn't bad in my opinion. It was okay.
But how old is it supposed to be when he's drinking those beers? Like, theoretically, he has to be like 10 years old, because he turned into Spider-Man when he was like 14. He was a bookworm for like years before that. And this seems to be the time. Like, the only way I can see this kind of this story working is, he was the rebel, and that's why he kind of buckled down and became a bookworm when he went to high school, because he was like too crazy when he was in grade 8. Well, I guess drinking beer in grade 8, that tracks. Sorry, my bad. I take that back.
That's what I mean. It felt like a real, like, there's some things in this where even I could kind of see relate to in that matter. Like, I get it. Like, it's just an unexplored thing for this character, and like we've said at times, sometimes it's not necessary, sometimes it's not great, but I feel like it's not bad so far. Like, it's an interesting kind of thing that he's doing with that, and as long as it doesn't take over the whole storyline, then I'm okay with it for now, and I hope it doesn't continue forever. But I mean, this other stuff's great, and you got Pepe Larraz drawing it. So
the Dolphin Pepe Jerez.
yeah, that's good stuff. Anyways, it's growing on me. I'm liking it more. What'd you give this?
I'll give it a 3.75.
Yeah,
I can't put any higher than that.
Yeah, I'm good with that. 3.75 out of 5 as well. All right, that's gonna do it for the books we want to talk about that we read this week. Chris, what are you looking forward to checking out next week, my friend?
Let's see, load it up here. And that's for the week of May 28th. Was that this week?
No, next week. Yeah, that's May 28th. Yeah.
Ooh, Ultimate Spider-Man 17, down for that.
Oh yeah.
Oof, I don't know about Uncanny X-Men. I don't know about Avengers. I don't know about Magic. Cold Day in Hell, yes. Let's see what's going on there. Predator versus Spider-Man, yes. Rogue Savage Land 5. I'm happy that's ending. Hope it's good.
Yeah.
And poof. I guess that's it for Marvel. Not too bad.
Just pulling
What's
up
going on
mine
for
still here.
DC? What, Batman Hush? I'm still reading it. That you got to take Jim Lee when you can.
Yeah.
Absolute Wonder Woman. It's at 8. Down for that. I'll read this Martian Manhunter, see what that all hype is all about. Superman 26. I'll be reading the Justice League Unlimited. I don't know. Maybe I'll tell you. Maybe I'll drop into Harley Quinn 51, but I doubt it.
Don't bother. I think I'm gonna stop talking about it on the show.
Then I won't.
That it's got to.
Unless you get another. How did Harley Quinn not get into this all-in business? Everything got better except freaking Harley Quinn.
I've been looking at the new solicits that came out for this upcoming for August, I guess. There's a crossover with Elvira and Harley Quinn with Dynamite Comics. Hold on. But Justin Palmiotti and Amanda Connor, who's my favorite Harley Quinn run, are doing the crossover. And I'm like, at this point, I might even buy that at this point, honestly, because I'm like, because they're very good at writing Harley. So I'm like, you know what? I'm so sick of Harley that I might actually check this out. I don't care at all about Elvira. You know what I mean? I'm just like, whatever, bring it on.
Yeah.
So,
and let's see, for Image, we got Void Rivals, G.I. Joe 7.
Yeah.
The Hyde Street. We're reading that we're taking everything down with us, right? That's the James Bond type movie story.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that's it for Image. I don't know if Dark Horse has anything. They're sneaking up there with a few comics every once in a while.
Oh yeah, all the Millerverse stuff's there now too, right?
Yeah. But anyways, we'll figure that one out later. I can't find Dark Horse here.
What do I got? I'll read Absolute Martian Manhunter as well. I've dropped it though, but Absolute Wonder Woman, I'm picking up. Batman 160, Black Hammer, Spiral City. That's from Dark Horse. Yeah. Daredevil, Cold Day in Hell. Can't wait for that. That first issue was amazing. It was our first 5, I think, of the year.
I hope they keep that train rolling because that was a crazy issue.
I mean, it's only 3 issues, so I think
it's got to be pretty, hot.
Yeah. I am picking up Deadpool Wolverine because they have a great Nick Fury, Alex Ross cover on that next issue. It says Drawing Blood's coming out possibly. That's been super delayed lately, but I this might not even be correct, this solicit, because let me just double check, because that's been on hiatus, I feel like a couple of months, unfortunately, but that's been really good. I hope that it is. You didn't see it in Image, did you? Or
no, I didn't see it there.
This is wrong. Sorry. They obviously didn't update this pull list here I have, so that's wrong. I ordered a giant size X-Men #1 because it's an Art Adams cover for that one. So I ordered that. Harley Quinn 51. I don't even think I'm going to talk about it on the show, but that comes out. Justice League Unlimited, I guess continuing the crossover. Rogue Savage Land, that's ending. Ultimate Spider-Man 17. Void Rivals 19. G.I. Joe, as you mentioned. And that's everything I'm picking up. Let me just see if there's quickly anything that I'm going to be reading digitally here. I don't think there's too much. Let's see. DC. No, I don't think so. No. And then Image. I don't think there's much here either, other than we talked about already. Oh, Hyde Street. That I'll read. That's been not bad, actually. I've been liking that. But I think that's about it in terms of digital reading for Image. And then Marvel, finally. See if there's anything here. Avengers, I'll read that. No, I'm not reading any of those tie-ins. I don't think I'm going to read Magic. I think I'm done with that. Predator versus Spider-Man, as you said. Yeah, I'll read that. And I think that's about it. I think that's about it overall. So yeah, Uncanny I dropped. Yeah, I'm starting finally, like, even the things I'm reading digitally, like, I just got into the habit of reading them when they've been coming out for the show, but like some of these I'm not liking, so I'm like, I'm not gonna bother talking about a lot of these anymore. Like, I'm dropping them. All right, Chris, your favorite book of the week.
Well, before we get to the favorite book, we talk about news or talk about news after?
Sorry, I teased it at the start of the show. I forgot. Thank you for reminding me. Also, if you guys want to hear about the new comic book solicitations, check the feed in the playlist. After this episode comes out, we'll also have the new comic book solicitations for the month of August coming out, where we're going to go over all the things that we are looking forward to in those months. But speaking about a book that's coming out in September, that he just announced, Frank Castle's returning in Punisher #1 from Ben Percy. And I forgot the artist. I'm just going to bring up the article here on the screen. But yeah, Punisher's back. The Skull is back. It looks like it's the old
Frank Castle's back.
Frank
It's not going to be what Garrison McGarrison or whatever his name was.
That agent, that SHIELD agent. Yeah, the actual Frank Castle's back. And also, it's a Red Band series. So it's going to be like, maybe we'll get some more bloodier kind of moments. I don't know if they're going to choose to really take advantage of the Red Band in that sense.
I hope they do, because they've been pretty cheesy in these Red Bands.
Yeah, some of it has been for sure. Yeah, but yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to this. I mean, it's been a while. They shelved the character for a while for reasons which we don't have to get into here, but like, they just chose to shelve him for a while, ship him off to Weird World for a bit. I guess for whatever real world controversies, we'll say that for whatever reason they fucking shelved the character. But then he showed up in Daredevil recently, and there has been, it's been gone for like 2 years, I feel like now, right? In terms of the comics, at least. I think I was reading that 2023 was the last time that they had that shitty miniseries with the Shield guy, as well as wrapping up the Jason Aaron series that they did, which overall wasn't bad, actually, I felt. But yeah, because I guess that was earlier on when we started this show, because we're in our 3rd year of doing this show. So yeah, it has to have been at least just under 2 years probably since they've used him really at this point, right? And we've seen him pop up here and there, and just like in
that last Punisher miniseries with Frank Castle, that was kind of crazy.
Yeah,
he wasn't really doing much punishing, so we'll see.
That's right. Yeah. So, here's hoping it's good. I'm really looking forward to it. Ben Percy, we like some of the stuff that he's done here. Not everything's a home run, but with the fact that's actually Frank, I think, we might get lucky here. This might actually be a good series. So, I mean, I guess it's just going to be is this a mini series? I don't know. Like, it says limited series. It says a new limited. Yeah, it's Red Band, so this is a limited series, but hopefully this is successful enough that they continue with some sort of an ongoing.
Yeah, maybe it's kind of testing the waters.
Yeah,
and see what it goes.
I mean, yeah, taking advantage of this whole, and the artist is Julius Ota, who I'm not really familiar with, but let me just read what it says here. I was trying to put it up on the screen, but it's failing. So, anyways, the first cover is by Marco Cicchetto as well, which is great.
Yeah, there's definitely some. That's the only thing I'm concerned about. I'm just hoping they're not trying to sell covers, because there's going to be a ton of freaking awesome Punisher covers by awesome artists, and then the story's going to be freaking ho hum.
No,
which has been the trend with a lot of new releases lately.
Yeah,
that's the only concern I have.
Yeah, listen, it says here Punisher is resurrected and back in his classic costume. September 10th, the first issue sports a main cover by Marco Cicchetto. Frank Castle, that dark-hearted vengeance machine, that monster who fights monsters, is one of my all-time favorite characters, according to Percy. And Punisher is a series I've been gunning to write for a long, long time. I think he might actually, this might work for the Percy, actually. Not only is Frank back in black, but this is a Red Band book. You know what that means. I'm going to lean in fully and push the very limits of my favorite genre, hairy psychopaths. This is going to be as gritty and bloody as it gets. Street level mayhem awaits you, and Julius Ota, who I collaborated with previously on okay, so it's the Wolverine artist. Oh, okay, that explains it. Is bringing all the blood and fire and rage to the page with this beautiful, terrifying art. Let's see, what's this one about? He's back with no memories. So I mean, I wonder if they're going to touch on the Weird World thing. Hold on, clean slate, whatever. Let's roll with it. Roll the a full clip and a thirst for wrathful vengeance. His violent search for answers could only be chronicled in a Red Band series. Bullets will fly, blood will flow, and the citizens and criminals of New York alike will fear the name the Punisher.
Yeah. Not one line in that solicitation excited me.
Listen, it's just a solicit. I mean, they always come off cheesy sometimes. Last we saw Punisher was in May 2023. Yeah, so it's been 2 years when Jason Aaron sent him to Weird World. I'm looking at some of the covers here. Yeah, there's some good ones. All right, well, Chris, let's hope you're wrong and all your negative energy you're bringing on the Punisher is wrong. Get out of here, Chris. It's one of my favorite characters, and he's back, baby. The Skull's back. Don't kill this for me, Chris. Come on.
We'll see. All right, I ain't opening those red bags.
You know, the preview pages look really good. I wish I could really share this to the screen. This site.
Oh, they got preview pages out already?
Yeah, I'm gonna send you this link. There's some preview pages out here. So for whatever reason,
that might be on the side, but
it looks good. It looks good, actually. I wasn't familiar with this artist, but it looks really good. So I wish I could put it on the screen. They're not allowing me this website, apparently, for whatever reason.
I just want Punisher back on the board, so when they have events, Punisher can be part of them. Because it's always great when he shows up in events.
There you go.
Yeah.
That looks good. I mean, I think so. Anyways, like that, you know, at least it's kind of like a more, yeah, like it looks realistic, like a more like it's not cartoony, right? Like that's I think that's a good fit, honestly.
Not bad.
So, yeah, here's hoping. I mean, I hope it's a successful miniseries, which in part leads the way to an ongoing, honestly. And I hope Ben Percy, this is the good Ben Percy, I hope, in this one. I think it's a good fit, to be honest with you. Like, you know, because I feel like we're 50-50 with some of the stuff that he's done. But, you know, if he brings that same energy that he just put in your beloved Predator versus Spider-Man, Chris, how crazy that first issue was, maybe. So we'll see what happens. So anyways, needless to say, we're excited for it. At least I am. I don't know about Chris. Here's hoping.
I'm excited to spend $40 on his 5 issues.
You've just been burned too many times. I get it. That's
I'm buying more. Don't worry.
That's comics, baby. What could he say? But anyways, Frank's back, guys. All right, Chris, what is your favorite book of the week, though? Now we're done with the news.
Sorry, a lot of great stories out there. A lot of 4+ stories. I'm going with 4+ art. Spider-Man, Wolverine.
Yeah.
That did not disappoint.
I can't blame you. Yeah, there's Spider-Man Wolverine for Chris's pick. You know what? I'm just looking over. There was no clear-cut winner to me going into this. I didn't really give it too much thought. There was a lot of fun books, a lot of 4 out of 5s thrown around in terms of the ratings. You know what, though? I think I got to agree with Chris. I think Superman Unlimited may have been the only other book I would have given it to. Now I'm looking over.
Yeah, we got rid of the hokey and just left the pokey.
But yeah, no, I gotta agree with you. The art is such a standout in this issue. I had so much fun with it that I'm also gonna go with Spider-Man and Wolverine. Yeah, I agree with you, Chris. Good call. I think the runner-up, though, I'll give a shout out to Superman Unlimited this week because I also quite liked this. But it was too much of them treading old ground for the majority of the issue. Again, with great art from Raphael Albuquerque, but as so as the story was in this, the art just elevated it to another level.
Yeah,
like that.
For sure.
So, yeah,
and there's nothing like this out anywhere now. You figure like back when Todd McFarlane was doing this, you know, there was Jim Lee, there was like freaking Mark Texiera, there was like these artists were a dime a dozen back then. And now he's the only one. Like, where's Patrick Gleason? You know, and even his style isn't anything close to this Carrie Andrews.
Well, that's the thing, too, though. I think the more impressive thing is that he, like you said, he's making it his own, but he's choosing to make his art the way it is, like inspired by that, obviously. Like because this isn't his. I've seen him do a bunch of different styles, his art, honestly. That's what I mean. That's what's most impressive about it to me is that he's choosing to kind of do this art the way it is right now. Like, so that's really cool that he's bringing it back to the 90s sort of with that 90s energy type stuff. Yeah, it's, and for people that read comics in the 90s, it's great. I love that he's got a McFarlane-esque style in there. I love Todd McFarlane from that period. So yeah, it's you brought up Jim Lee earlier. Jim Lee doesn't even look this good anymore. Right? So I mean, like, yeah, it's great. It's great stuff. So all right, so that's going to do it for today's episode, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe, and make sure to check out our other video of the comic book solicitations for August. That will be in the feed after this video. Go make sure to check that out. We talk a lot about comics and things we're looking forward to coming up in the coming months on that show as well. All right, Chris, thanks, man.
All right, cheers.
Cheers.